Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Babblers video. My name is Zaru and this is Confines of the Crown. Again, we are back. Now, before you guys start screaming at me saying where's the next Umineko episode, because for whatever reason, Umineko is a big hit, and this one I understand is not performing as well, but you know what? I like both the stories, and it's Confines of the Crown's turn, damn it. Okay? It's their turn, and don't worry, an Umineko episode will be coming up. Probably my Monday upload will be that. Also, if you're wondering where the prop hunt is, if your name happens to be Red Leon or Azur Vizor, that is actually being edited as we speak, so it's going to be out soonish, within the next week. So, anyway, so last time, as we remember, they had their romantic little moment. What's his name? Oh god. So the last time I actually recorded this, technically last time I recorded anything was March 21st, so it's been a minute. Let's see, what's his name? Douchebag, what was his name? Douchebag Dexter. That was it. Douchebag Dexter. No, I don't remember his name. It's like Colin or something like that. Anyway, Colin had roped us into his little weird entourage to go off and try to find or rescue the princess by exchanging gold and killing them and taking the gold back with the princess. And so we were all lying down for the... Well, we weren't lying down for the night, but... Anywho, so here we are. We're basically... We just had a romantic moment with... Frickin' Oscar and Madeline had their little romantic moment, and they kissed, and she said we shouldn't be doing this, we really shouldn't be doing this. She pulled away, and they basically went awkwardly to sleep. So here we are. The hours of night are spent sleeping fitfully among the sticks and stones. Years have passed since I last attempted to camp under the open stars. I'm not accustomed to it. Every noise startles me to alertness, the hum of insects, the croak of frogs, the restless slumber of my companions, the too early cries of birds. Each time I must still my heart and slip back into the darkness. I do need my sleep. When the sky begins to lighten, we arise. Oscar's scavenging turns up birds' eggs and wild asparagus. Wild asparagus. Foods that can be cooked quickly even without utensils. Neither Oscar nor I make any reference to our conversation of the night before. This morning we are strictly business. Oh yeah, and of course I have my coffee again, because always, story time and coffee go together. Once bellies have been filled and bladders discreetly lightened, a task considerably easier for my companions than myself, nice little touch there, we are ready to seek the rendezvous point. Callum leads us up... Oh god, and we're back with the music again. Callum leads us to a country road, his particular destination marked by a crudely carved milestone half buried in a verge.
This is the place. Get yourselves out of sight. We could have hours yet to wait. Find a spot where you can be hidden and silent for as long as necessary.
His gaze falls on Oscar.
If you can't do that, then get back to the river and stay where you won't make a mess of things.
I can do it.
You had better be right. Remember, the most important thing is that Cass is safe. Don't take any action that could endanger that. But once the way is clear, don't let those bastards get away.
We understand. Oscar and I secrete ourselves into the brush, hiding among thick cover, simple enough. Making a nest for yourself where the smallest movement will not rustle loudly and give you away is more complicated. Even the most patient soul must shift position occasionally. It's not good for the body to do otherwise. Callum's role in this is easier. He takes up a visible position along the road, pulls out a knife and a bit of wood, and begins whittling it. For myself, there's nothing to do but wait and think. And I don't know if you guys see this on the recording, but every time I click, there's like a little black box on the upper right corner of the screen. Not sure why that is, or it's left, not right. Oscar, why did you have to kiss me? It doesn't make this any easier. He's always been so sweet and easygoing and innocent. I never thought he'd try to push further. It must have been the stress of yesterday. Everything will have to be different now. We must not touch each other anymore, not even for comfort. We have to be sure that nothing like that ever happens again. It will be easier once Cassidy is safe. I'm sure she and Oscar could be happy together. After a long and uncomfortable wait, I hear the sound of footsteps on the road. Callum hears it too, but he holds his position and waits for the newcomer to approach him. Waits, that is, for the newcomer to come close enough that Oscar and I may see her without giving ourselves away. Who is it? Almost close enough. A single person in palace uniform. Dolores? Oh god, of course, Dolores. The page stops at a small distance from Callum, close enough to talk, far enough that he can't make a grab for her. She folds her arms instantly and waits.
Do you have a message for me? Why, I maybe do. Here's a message. Give me the gold.
Dolores is working with the kidnappers? How can that be? She helped me, didn't she?
The deal was a trade. Gold for the princess, no gold. Do you think I'm stupid, Lord Fancy Boy? Once you've got your princess back, what guaranteed I've got you won't go after me?
Since that was exactly the plan, she has a point.
You want her back? You play by my rules.
Ah! Sorry. And if I give you the gold, what guarantee do I have that Cassidy is unharmed?
Or that you even have her? I'll take you to her. You throw me the gold, I'll guide you to where I left her, one step at a time.
Right, Dolores, and what's to stop you from jumping us once you have the gold?
And keep your distance. You try to rough me up, I'll lead you in circles till she starves.
Half now, when I see the princess.
Don't worry, Fancy Boy. I don't want her on my hands. Had enough of looking after lords and ladies, I have.
I don't know why I did that accent at the end. It was weird.
Half now, no more. Fine, throw it over.
A sack of coins lands with a heavy clattering at her feet. She opens it to check the contents, then apparently satisfied, smiles.
Go on with you then. That way. Keep moving and I'll tell you when to turn.
Together they move into the woods. This is not good. The only thing to do now is to try and follow them without making too much noise, and I hope he can still be ready to spring on Dolores when she's delivered on her promise. I look around for Oscar to be sure he understands what must be done, and find him making wild-eyed faces at me. There's no time, and we can't risk being overheard. We must rely on gesture. He points at his foot, waves his hand in a negative fashion, shrugs, and indicates that I should go on without him. I'm not sure what the problem is. Maybe he's caught somehow, or maybe he neglected to shift position earlier and now his feet are too numb to stand and move quickly. Whatever the cause, he is out of commission. I will have to tail Dolores on my own. I creep through the brush, trying to keep both pale heads in sight while avoiding dry twigs and other giveaways. Callum is in the lead, moving slowly at Dolores' direction and pausing frequently to look back at her. She, in turn, always waits for him to move before she'll take a step to follow him, never allowing that distance between them to close. Her caution means that, if not for my presence, she would have a fair chance at escape if she chose to run for it. It would depend on how quickly Callum could react. Would that be enough for her? She seemed a cunning sort, and I don't say that solely because she misled me earlier. Oh no. Fleeing from Callum would be even easier if he were temporarily distracted or injured. Could she be leading them into a trap? Before I can spin worse imaginings, she stops.
May as well come out, Miss Nosy.
What?
I know you're out there, Austin girl. I saw you with himself that last night.
Saw you with himself? Oh.
Plain broken bird. Tricky. Now I can wait here all day, but your delicate lady's all alone and helpless like. So get over here.
I hesitate, trying to decide whether she's certain of my presence or merely suspecting it.
Come out, Veloise.
God damn it. Madeline, why can't you just say easy words, Callum? Damn it. So much for that, then. I raise my hands and move noisily into view.
Planning to turn on me, weren't you? A caution. You would have done the same. I maybe did. Who's to know?
I don't think she could have managed to hide her own allies in the same thicket we were hiding in earlier. But now that she's calling the shots, she might indeed be... Goddamn. She might indeed be leading us to them.
Get over here, next to him.
Since Callum apparently wants me to play along, I obey her instructions and walk past her to stand beside him. The traitorous servant then produces a silk scarf which she hurls in our direction. I actually do have one weird tangent question here. This is like... I mean, what's the time frame that this would be taking place in? I mean, it's obviously prior to modern time. I mean, there's no cars or anything like that, so it's kind of like medieval or possibly Renaissance era or whatever. I'm wondering how they dye their hair the colors that they do. Like, do they just use like weird berries and shit? I mean, I don't know. Blue and pink? What odd. They would make a perfect couple, I think.
Tie yourselves together. Is this some sort of joke? You're the one
Sorry.
You're the one playing Jester's tricks, fancy boy. Should have come alone. I've always wondered why you weren't dismissed from service. You make a terrible page. Well then, good that it's settled. Now do as I say. Arm or leg, I don't care.
Callum picks up the scarf and extends his left hand to me. I'm not quite sure what he has in mind, but I place my right hand in his. He winds the scarf over and over around and through our shared clasp, creating something that looks like a knot, but isn't actually. We are not tied, only tangled, and it will not take long to free ourselves again. Dolores can't tell quite what he's done unless she comes closer to examine it, of course, and she seems disinclined to take such a step. Despite his brief show of resistance, Callum seems quite calm about the setback the rogue page has put in our path. Of course, he still thinks we have Oscar in reserve, and I cannot tell him that my prince has been left behind. We resume our course through the woods, step by step, for good or for ill. Dolores' voice is our guide. And then at last we see it, a splash of pink across the forest floor.
Cass!
Instinctively, he starts to move towards his fallen sister, and his motion tugs at her joined hands. That moment of distraction is what Dolores has apparently been waiting for. Abandoning us in the remaining half of her ransom gold, she turns to flee.
Go!
We rush after her as best we can. It is not so easy as one might think to run in a forest, particularly while entangled with another. We could, of course, pause for a moment and remove the silk wrapping, but that would require that we pause. Instead, Callum crushes my fingers in his grip as we attempt a synchronized pursuit. She is one and we are two, and in this terrain that gives her an advantage. She's going to get away. We're losing. And then, quite unexpectedly, I hear a shout. It's Oscar! Somehow or other, he must have gotten himself loose from his predicament and tried to catch up with us, only to find himself directly in Dolores' escape path. He's not bigger or faster than she is, but he is there, and she can't swerve away in time. In one desperate leap, he tackles her to the ground, but that doesn't bring an end to it. Wrestling is not a sport that ever held Oscar's interest. Oh god damn it. Why is Oscar such a pussy? With an angry woman in his grasp, a woman who has no qualms about using her knees and her teeth, he is completely ineffectual. A few painful for him moments later, and she has struggled free, but by that point it is too late. Callum has a hand in her hair and an arm around her neck. Oh dude, he's pissed.
This is the only repayment you'll receive.
Her eyes bulge as the pressure around her neck increases. Stop, don't kill her. I told you I wouldn't murder for you. We've caught her. That's enough.
A traitor deserves death.
Oh god.
So tie her up and bring her back to stand trial.
Looks like you haven't told them.
Her eyes roll back into her head and she sags in Callum's grip.
No.
She's only unconscious.
He takes a deep breath and lets it out.
Well, so be it. Tie her up if that's what you want. We have to get back to Cass.
Between us, Oscar and I handle Dolores' limp body, binding her with this discarded silk scarf. She is not a very substantial woman, more wiry than bulky, and easy enough for the two of us to carry. So, Dolores was the mastermind all along? Could she really have overpowered Oscar and spirited off Cassidy all by herself? I saw them struggling here in the forest. I can imagine she'd get the better of him eventually in a brawl, but disabling him too quickly to cry out, and then dragging the princess away, keeping her hidden, leading me on a merry dance, spying on Callum, setting up a ransom exchange? That's a lot to manage for a rough-spoken girl who's never progressed past the rank of page. Yeah, I agree. I don't think she's alone. And there's something up with Callum too, obviously. I don't know what it is. I think maybe he's just... I don't know. They've done a really good job of masking what his intentions are. So... There must be more to her story than I'm seeing. Who sponsored her to royal service? Why hasn't she been either advanced or dismissed? She is someone's agent, I'm certain, but whose, and what is their part in this? And yet Callum insisted that she was working alone, and motivated by gold, not by politics. And the last thing Dolores said was that Callum hadn't told us the whole story. Could she be his agent and turned on him? That might explain why he was so angry at her for being a traitor, except he said that he didn't know why she hadn't been dismissed either. I may have some questions for that woman when she wakes up, but in the meantime, we have a princess to rescue. We return to where we first spotted that telltale glimpse of a pink fabric in the forest. There, Cassidy lies, quiet and unmoving, at the base of a tree. Not a fairy tale girl in a glass coffin. This princess's hair and clothes have been snagged by leaf and twig. Her shoes are gone, her stockings horribly stained, and she's tied and blindfolded with more of those silk scarves. Is she all right? Do you have any what the fuck? Hartshorn spirits? There's a faint moaning noise and Cassidy's head lifts. She's awake. Get her untied and sitting up, carefully. Callum hangs back while Oscar and I help Cassidy to her feet and remove the blindfold. What was her voice anyway? I fucking don't remember, so she gets a new voice. What? Wait, no, that's a bad voice. Goddamn. What? Ah! It's alright, you're safe now. We've captured the woman who kidnapped you. Safe? I don't know what to do for her voice. Wait. Safe? Safe, but... She ducks behind Oscar and raises a trembling hand. He's the one that kidnapped me. She's pointing at Callum, of course. You stole Princess Cassidy?
No, not exactly. That is not Princess Cassidy.
What the fuck?
What are you saying?
I would like to introduce you to my brother, Prince Caspian.
What the fuck? What the literal fuck is going on?
What?
Oscar takes a step backwards, sheltering Cassidy. Or is it Caspian behind him? They're going for the whole transsexual thing. You are mad. It was you who attacked us in the garden. Oh, wait. Oh, is he saying... What? Wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Is he saying that his twin attacked her? Or is he saying that the princess is a drag queen? The fuck? Is Callum our enemy, or is he telling the truth? I'll let Callum explain. There's no harm in that, right?
Let's not get too excited here. We're all supposed to be friends. Callum, do you want to explain what in the world you're talking about?
You would think, with the years I've spent planning for this moment, I would have a better idea of what to say. This isn't how I meant it to turn out. Your prince is right. I did attack him in the garden, but only him. I would never have hurt Cass. I just wanted to talk to him alone.
If you wanted to talk to Oscar alone, why did you make me go with you?
You really don't remember anything, do you?
Wait, hold on. I'm trying to understand. So, Callum, you're saying that is your brother Caspian?
Yes.
What the fuck?
I am not.
And you took her, or him, from the dance last night because you wanted to talk to her?
Yes.
Then how did Dolores get involved in this? I'm sorry, my mind's spinning right now.
I left Cass in my rooms alone while I waited for the fuss to die down. That thieving page must have somehow found him there and decided to grasp the advantage. I should never have left you alone.
What? You're sorry that someone else kidnapped the princess after you had properly kidnapped her first?
You may have found some crumb of courage, but you are still a fool. I was willing to risk anything for my goal, except Cass's safety.
What goal? God damn, what the fuck is going on?
Saving my little brother, who was stolen from me all those years ago.
I'm very sorry, but you're delusional. I'm not Caspian. Prince Caspian died when I was a baby.
That's what everyone believes. That doesn't mean it's the truth.
I assume there's a story behind this.
Why are you listening to anything he says? He lied to us. He attacked us. He forced you...
I'm listening to him because I want to understand what's going on. Wisdom before judgment.
And whose wisdom do you think you are?
What? No, she's right. We should talk about this calmly. Once we all understand that what we're thinking and feeling, then we can come to a solution that benefits everyone. But, if you please, I'd like to sit down.
Of course, you should rest. He gallantly sweeps a patch of grass free of twigs and beetles.
You're very kind.
Once they've settled themselves, Callum begins his tale.
Cass was my little brother and the closest person to me in the world. All of our other siblings were much older, men in the making. In the meanwhile, our royal parents seemed to have little interest in their youngest offspring. I know now why it was, but at the time it never occurred to me to question. My life was the nursery, my toys, my minders, and my baby brother, who trusted me in everything. Then they came and took Cass away. They said he was ill, that he was coming down with a plague and had to be quarantined with special nurses. I never saw him again. It was half a year later that they told me he was dead. But if he was ill and we were always together, why was I fine? If he had to be confined, why not me?
That's it? That's your reason for believing that Cassidy is Caspian?
Of course not. At the time, that was my reason for believing that life was unfair, and would always be so. I wasn't interested in my new little sister. I didn't want a replacement for Cass, so I didn't think about the princess. But that baby grew older, and still she never came to the nursery. Years and I never saw her once. Sometimes I wondered if I were the one with the plague, who had to be kept away from my siblings. And then I was old enough that my parents were forced to give me to my own rooms and full-time tutors.
And once you were gone, then they took the nursery for the princess?
I suppose. I didn't much care. I was used to it by then, being shoved aside, out of the way, ignored. It wasn't until a public event when Cassidy was about 5 years old that I finally laid eyes on the princess. And it was Caspian, older, too old for 5 years, and wearing a dress, but I knew his face.
God, this is really bizarre.
She is your sister. It's not that strange that she might look a lot like Caspian.
Not similar in some way, the same face. Look at me. Do I have the same face Cass does?
Well, no.
No one else saw it. No one else knew him like I did. I didn't even question why he was there. All I knew was that my brother was alive. I ran up to him, calling his name. That was when my father hit me.
I remember that. That boy. That was you? They told me he was a thief who snuck in and that he might have carried the pox. That was why they beat him.
Yes, you would remember the beating.
Your father beat you?
No, he had the guards take me away and teach me a lesson. Once only. That I was wrong, and a fool, and a disgrace, and I was never to go near Cassidy again.
I had no idea. I'm so sorry.
You have no need to be sorry. You didn't cause it. You wanted to see your brothers, remember? He turns back to Callum. Your parents treated you unfairly, that's clear, but it proves nothing. You made wild accusations in public and they did not want the scandal. Hang on a sec. Sorry. I know this is an important part, but, things happen sometimes. Considering what's led to now, it seems they were correct that you would bring them grief. Caspian and Cassidy are different people. Cassidy was born before Caspian died. It's public record.
Yes, and for so long I couldn't understand it. I almost started to believe that I was wrong. Then it all became clear.
Oh boy. Coffee.
Caspian and I were nothing to them. The infant Cassidy was the heir my parents had been longing for. I think that baby died, and my wise mother could bear no more children. There could be no further princess. And so I believe they chose to switch Cassidy for Caspian. And raise him as the heir of Gwelinor. Wait. What's going on?
Okay. Oh, fuck.
They've done so well that even he doesn't remember who he really is. Cass, they kept you isolated so that no one would break the illusion, so that I couldn't tell you the truth.
I have one big fat stinking question right now. Wouldn't Cassidy realize that she has a penis? I mean, he's saying that this chick right here is his brother, right? Yeah?
The fuck?
Everything I've done was to get you out of their clutches so that you could be free. They stole your life. I'm here to give it back.
But There's one obvious problem with this whole story. Caspian was a boy.
Thank you, Madeline!
Cassidy is a girl. You are, aren't you? Of course I am. You can't simply put a dress on a boy and call him a girl. It wouldn't work.
Bind a living thing tightly enough and its growth can be stunted.
Oh, goddamn, dude. He looks at his sister and his voice takes on a hesitant tone.
They've kept you so isolated, I have to ask. Do you know what is different between a man and a woman?
Oh, God.
Men explore and conquer. Women mature and defend.
Not what I meant.
What I think he's trying to say is that men's bodies are different from women's bodies. Yes, that's why women wear gowns.
Oh, God.
That's true, but it's more a question of what's under the gown. Have you ever seen men and women unclothed? What?
You can't ask a lady a question like that. This is so awkward. This is the most awkward story I've ever read. Oh my god. Okay.
She can, being a lady herself.
Of course I haven't. It wouldn't be proper. Paintings or statues, perhaps? Books of engravings? I would never look at such things. Not even Sylvia Dinklage. The myriad ways? It's very famous.
Convenient, isn't it, that they've sheltered their princess so profoundly?
There's nothing unusual about a princess being modest.
Yes, but so much so that she can't even grasp the point of what we're asking?
Alright, just cut off the corset and let's have a look, guys. That's all I can say.
What point?
Oh, for soil's sake! We turn to discover that Dolores is apparently no longer unconscious. Still bound, she twists herself part upright to speak.
They're trying to find out if you've a tail in front.
A what? How long have you been listening?
Long enough, Lady Lackey. I should have shut your mouth permanently. Oh, and then you'd have to take the task of your noble hands. Take the task your noble hands are too pure to carry. If none of you have the eggs, I'll lift her skirts and see if she's got them.
The eggs. The balls.
What?
No one is lifting any skirts. If that page tried to put her hand under my skirt, she would pull back a bleeding stump. Yeah, I'm sure.
It isn't necessary. There are other signs.
I am, after all, supposed to be trained to observe. I set my preconceptions aside and examine Cassidy closely. She has a slim figure and a narrow waist. Her bosom, while quite modestly endowed, has a feminine shape to it. That much could be achieved by a slender dandy in a corset, but other features are far more difficult to alter.
Look at her hands. She has long and graceful arms, but small hands. Men's hands are larger in relation. Her chin is smooth and soft and has no hair, and her throat lacks the male bulge, and her voice.
Yes, it's called sexual reassignment surgery. It's called... You can actually train your voice. Actually, it's very... much easier for a man to become a woman or to turn into looking like a woman than the other way around. Trust me on this. Anyway, you can like get hip surgery and shit like that. And anyway,
that is your natural voice, isn't it? You're not forcing yourself to speak in a high tone? No. You didn't have your voice mysteriously change a few years ago? No. Well, there you have it, then. She's a woman. I did tell you that.
But you're Caspian. You have to be. Don't you remember me at all? The nursery, you and I. You used to stand on the window seat and point at things outside to make me tell you about them. You liked to watch me fire a catapult or spin a top because you couldn't make it go so fast. Your favorite toy was the stuffed cloth purple dragon. You used to sleep with it.
My favorite toy was a little blue bear that I carried around with me everywhere. I don't remember ever seeing a toy catapult, and I didn't enjoy spinning tops. Mostly, I like dressing up my dolls and having them act out stories.
She walks closer and lays her hand on Callum's arm.
I'm sorry, but the truth is, Caspian is gone. I'm sorry, he sounds like he was a sweet little boy. I wish I'd known him. I wish I'd known any of you. I was always so lonely growing up.
So you're really Cassidy?
I really am.
I can see the expression on Callum's face as he admits to himself, perhaps for the first time, that his baby brother is dead.
Then everything, it was all for nothing.
No.
To his evident surprise, she wraps her arms around him, nestling her chin on his shoulder.
It meant that we got to be together and talk to each other at last. Otherwise, we would still be strangers. Hug me back. Nobody ever hugs me.
Slowly, cautiously, Callum puts his arm around his sister.
I don't know why our parents treated you so badly, or why they kept us apart, but it was wrong. But I'm an adult now. They can't lock me away. We can start over.
She steps away from him, still smiling.
What you did because you loved your brother. That's not wrong.
Yeah, really sweet. Now, since we're all loving and forgiving, how about you let me go?
You're going back to the castle to face trial. Oh, fuck.
I ought to get rid of her right now. It would save trouble. Because I can tell everyone that it was you who attacked Lady Fainting Blossom? Sure, you could kill me so I couldn't talk, but then you'd have to kill Miss Nosy and Prince Simple too, huh?
What?
Was that your plan?
Of course not.
My brother would never do such a terrible thing.
She's certainly loyal and forgiving, considering that she's more or less just met him and he kidnapped her. Oh, what should I do? I could accuse Callum. I'm mighty suspicious of Callum and his whole weird-ass story.
This is the real reason you couldn't bring any guards with you, isn't it? You wanted me alone so that once I wasn't useful to you anymore, you could overpower me. Then you could either kill me or leave me to take the blame.
If Oscar hadn't insisted on coming with me.
He would not, and I would not let him.
Doesn't matter what I say, does it? You've made up your mind.
There is another question. What you have done with Caspian, if she had been him.
Done whatever he wanted. I wanted to tell him about everything he'd missed, growing up, and help him find his own life again. Help him get out of the palace, or prepare him to confront our parents if he wanted. It doesn't matter now.
No, it doesn't. We'll go home. We'll talk to mother and father. This time they can't brush you aside. I won't let them. I will make them explain what they've done. So you see, it will be all right. Only, could I have some water and something to eat?
Of course.
You didn't feed her?
What was I supposed to feed her with? I didn't bring your royal kitchen.
What did you eat?
She laughs at me.
I weren't hungry. I was going to be rich if I relied on my feet. If I made it, I could eat anything I wanted. If I didn't, well, it wouldn't matter, would it? No, it won't.
Oscar, in the meantime, is still looking at Cassidy. What happened to your shoes?
I think they're still in the palace. If she went through those tunnels without shoes, we need to wash her feet before any scratches turn foul. I don't mean to be trouble.
You aren't.
Let's get back to the water. There's nothing more to do here.
We have, after all, succeeded in the quest. The princess is saved, and we are heroes. All is well. Chapter 4, The Betrayal. Yeah, we're going to continue, because I still got about another... Actually, no. We're going to go ahead and end it here because that was quite a lot to soak in. 35 minutes. It's a little bit shorter than my typical thing will be, but not insanely. So, I'm so confused. Transsexual accusations are, oh my god, my mind was just spinning there for a second. Anyway, so next we'll pick up and see what their fate holds when they return to the castle. So thank you so much everybody for watching. My name is Zeru, and this is The Battlers.